Wise men say that the optimists proclaim that we live in the best of all possible worlds, but the pessimists fear. Dr. Sarah Namusoga, a lecturer at Uganda Christian University, bends towards that assertion. She says there is no permanent situation in life. You wake up, you work hard, you earn it. In this week's episode of Her Moment, we dig deep into the possibilities of women going further in academics and attaining the highest level of education. Hello my beautiful people, welcome to yet another exciting episode of Her Moment. We are glad that you're still watching Rico TV, and most importantly we are glad that we have life and that at this exact moment you've chosen to be part of us, to be able to share the lives of the women in our society that are making it and that are changing lives, and most importantly that are making us realize that as women we can actually do so much more than what we are told to do. Today on the show I have a lady that is very passionate about journalism, and she's not just passionate about it, but she has gone ahead to lecture and also teach students about the different concepts that we have in journalism. But for starters, she has lectured at Makerere University, and she's currently lecturing at Uganda Christian University. But most importantly, she is a PhD holder. Now, I should say that there is a notion that thinks that women cannot go deeper or further in education. I mean, they will get a degree or a first degree, and they won't really bother to get a master's or even go ahead to get a PhD. She's also a writer, and I'm super excited to also let you know that she's a mother and a wife, and she goes by the names of Sarah Namusoga. I'm super excited that I'm seated next to a PhD holder. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Sandra. I'm glad to be here.
I'm super glad. I feel so privileged that I get a chance today, this evening on a Sunday, to sit next to a beautiful lady that is a mother, that is a wife, and a PhD holder. I think I've said that so many times. But to our audience outside there, who is Sarah?
Well, Sarah is a daughter,
yes,
the third born of 6 children. Sarah is a journalist, not a practicing one, but a trained one. Sarah is also currently a lecturer at the Uganda Christian University. Sarah is a mother, a wife, and somebody who loves dealing with digital communication, digital technologies, and digital media. You can call it new media. Yes, that is just a bit about who Sarah is.
But let's start by talking about your journey as a young girl. Where was Sarah? How did she grow up?
Sarah grew up in a very warm, loving family.
Okay.
My parents did everything to ensure that we go through school successfully. While in primary school and high school, for example, I struggled a lot with the sciences, especially maths, but my father was very dedicated. He came to school every weekend to just go through my maths books with me. Because he's an engineer, a civil engineer, maths comes naturally to him. So he came to school every Saturday when he noticed I wasn't doing well in maths, and went through my books with me. And in the end, I passed maths at P7 with a distinction, with a D1.
Wow.
He did the same for us when we went to high school. And still I passed with a credit 3, which I think, for somebody struggling, for me that was excellent. And so Sarah grew up in a family that takes education seriously, but that also lets us be who we should be or who we want to be. And my mother, a civil servant, retired now, always taught us to love what we do, to do it with all our hearts, and be the best at what we do. I have 2 sisters to look up to.
Are they bigger or they younger?
Yeah, they're
bigger than you?
Yeah, older than me. Yeah, so I come after them. I'm the third born.
So you didn't, did you ever, since you have brothers but they're younger?
Yeah, they're younger than me.
Did you at a certain point ever feel like your brothers were given more privileges than you, the girls, at a certain point?
Not quite. Not quite, because...
Treated equally?
Yeah, we're treated equally. Both the girls and the boys went to very good schools. The girls were in Namagunga from primary to high school. The boys were in Kampala Parents for their primary school, and then Budo for high school. So we were both treated equally, and of course at some point you're wondering, why did they send us to boarding schools,
Yes.
and let the boys stay at home. But there are reasons, and I keep saying I understand the decisions that my parents made to send us to boarding school early, but it was quite interesting growing up, coming home for the holidays and the boys updating you about all these things that has happened since you were away. And like I remember when we came back, and the time Cable-Sat television had just started. And the boys were excited.
Telling
there's a new station.
When
come
you
and
don't know anything about them.
Yeah, it seemed like we were villagers, coming from boarding school. And
did you get a chance to be in a single-sex school, or were you in a mixed school?
I was in a single-sex school for most of my education years, from P1 to S4. And then S5 and S6, I was in a mixed school. I went to King's College Budo for A-level. And that was my first encounter with being in a mixed school. Yeah.
How was it? How was the change in environment? How did you deal with it? Because I would imagine it's different. Before you're in a single-sex school, and here you're in a mixed school. So
yeah, it was quite challenging, I must say, especially given that my older sisters had gone to single-sex schools for all their education. So I was the first to break that. I was the one who broke that and went to a mixed school. But my brothers were in that same school, in King's College Budo. But the most challenging part was having to, when I realized that, okay, you're not only girls in the school, there are boys as well. And certain things are not what they used to be. You found, for example, that you needed to do better than the boys.
Or you needed to work or put in extra effort.
Yeah, in a way. It just came naturally that you needed to do better than the boys. And I'm not saying that we were pushed to do that, but I think it just comes naturally, So, and then of course, the facilities also, because a lot of the facilities were boys' end, and the girls had just a few of the facilities. So adjusting to that was also a bit difficult. I remember on the first visiting Sunday, my elder sister came to visit me, and she was very excited and saying, "Sarah, tell me, what is it like, studying with boys? Yeah, do you actually sit next to them in class? Do you talk to them like all the time? Are you free to chat with them?" And I was like, yeah, I wasn't as excited as she thought I would be. Yeah, it was very challenging, because you now find that you can't say certain things. You need to be careful. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah,
you can't go for your second plate of food.
Yes, and then you have to be a lady. And
all the time.
All the time. Not that I don't like being a lady, no, but
also you need time and space to be in your own, and do things exactly how you want them to be done. Not pretend to be something else. Yeah.
So it was challenging, and but somehow anyway we made it through. I made it through, because I realized that I was in school to study, to excel. And once I figured that out, I was good to go. Yeah.
How does your journalism career start?
Long story, but
is it something you had always, all of us when we are children, there are always those things we dream of becoming. We dream of becoming, like me, if I can remember, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yes.
From like right away. But as time kept on changing and moving and I'm growing, I realized, is this really what I want to be? I could actually be a journalist as well. So what was your childhood dream?
Interesting, because I also wanted to be a lawyer.
I think all girls want to be lawyers.
Yeah, I was inspired by a family friend who was in his A levels then, but I could see that he was going to be a lawyer. Yeah, but also in my family, it's just me and my mom who didn't do the sciences. Everyone else did sciences. So, and those days, which was a long time ago, the best, if I could say, the profession that stood out for the arts was law. So I thought I would be a lawyer. But then I noticed that it's not what I wanted to be somehow. And then another family friend at that time enrolled for the Bachelor's of Mass Communication at Makerere, and I looked up to her. And I realized, okay, I think this is something I want to do. So I developed an interest in journalism. That's around S2. I developed an interest in journalism. And from then on, for me, it was journalism throughout. Now, in Budo, I joined the School Council News Agency, and that's where I would say my journalism practice actually started. Yeah, I was a reporter on the School Council News Agency, and we did quite a bit of work. We used to have a bulletin that we read at the school assembly every Monday. It was quite exciting. But also scary. Yeah, scary, yeah. And so, of course, it came naturally that when we were applying for what to do at the university, I applied to do mass communication, and I got in.
You got in?
Yeah.
How has it been ever since then?
It's been an interesting journey.
Would you, if you were given a chance to go back and say, this is what I need to change, what would you change your career? Would you change?
No, I wouldn't.
You're comfortable?
I'm very comfortable, especially since I've seen both sides of a career. I've been in the newsroom a little, but I'm now also in the academics. So I think I wouldn't change anything. I'm glad, I'm happy with,
But as
choice.
Sarah, growing up, getting to the stage where you are, what are some of those challenges you faced that you feel have tried to deter you from achieving your dreams or stop you from going after what you want as a woman, you as Sarah? What are those challenges you faced?
I could say that if you're always compared to the boys or to the men, that's a challenge in itself, because then what society thinks is girls or women are just that. The boys lead. We live in a patriarchal society, and so if you're not careful, you'll find yourself buying into that and not doing your best in life. And I know a few friends of mine who went down that road because they thought that they could never be better than the boys. Again, I'm not saying that I'm better than the boys, but I'm fine.
Yeah, perfect where you are.
Yes, I'm fine where I am. And so for me, I found that comparison was the biggest challenge, I could say, being compared to the boys, expecting you not to do well or to just be average. And then if you excel, okay, everyone is happy, but then they stop and ask, okay, did she really? She excelled, but how? What did she? Yes.
What did she do to get there?
Yeah. So it's a challenge, and also, of course, when you grow up, you realize that in a way, they're like at work. You'll find rumors. You know, once you're like friendly to the men, then it's rumored that maybe you're sleeping around, or so then if you're
so
not...
before you know it, people are saying
yes,
this one,
you slept your way up and all that, you see. And if you're not confident, if you're not a strong character, that could put you down. But yeah, so for me...
How did you deal with certain situations like those as you? How did you deal with such?
First of all, I know who I am. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and I know that in Christ, everything is possible.
Yeah.
So I know that my strength does not come from me. It comes from Christ. And I keep going back to him for strength. I keep praying and asking him for wisdom in every area of my life. And he has been faithful in that. But also, I know that I'm where I am, not because I'm favored per se. Yes, I'm favored, but I'm where I am because I deserve to be there. I've always worked hard in school, and all my academic qualifications, nothing has been handed to me. I've always earned everything that I have. And so for me, that gives me the confidence to go on. Regardless of what you say, I know that I'm where I am because I deserve to be. Yes, I've worked hard to be there. And so knowing that pushes me, it gives me that drive to go on. It's not easy because, of course, people say things. Some things are so hurtful, you see. But you go on. Once you know who you are, for me, I think that's what pushes me. Knowing who I am, being strong and all that, yeah.
And maybe also I realized that as I was trying to read about you, I also realized that you worked at Parliament for about 7 years. And you're also an online editor, isn't it? Tell us about that as well. How is it? How was it actually working at the Parliament of Uganda?
Parliament of Uganda is a very interesting institution to work for, yes. But you need to note that, let me say, I'm part of what you would call the kitchen crew. The Hansard is in the background. The Hansard is the official report of parliamentary debates and proceedings. And so it's a verbatim report of the plenary in the case of Uganda, but it's also a term that's used in the Commonwealth. Yeah. So we are in the background. But you get to hear things that a lot of people will not hear because outside they're not there. And you're privileged because you get to sit in the chamber during proceedings. When I was there, we used to sit on the opposition side behind the speaker. And type, keep what you call a log of who is speaking, the time and all that. And we used to laugh that, the things we hear, only heaven knows. Yeah, but it also keeps you on your feet. As a Hansard editor, you're working like you're in a newsroom. You work on a very tight deadline. It's a 24-hour deadline. The daily Hansard must come out latest 24 hours after the last utterance has been made in Parliament. And so while everyone else would be going home, would stay behind to work. And sometimes you'd end up leaving at 9 p.m., at 10 p.m. But it was fun because, we looked at ourselves as people who are part of history.
Or who are part of changing history.
Yes.
You guys should also have been part of changing the future.
You could say, but our job is to document.
Just document.
Yes, what's going on and leave it for those who will come after us to read. And so Parliament is a place that gave me a lot of exposure. I got to travel. You get to interact with, high-profile people, ministers, the MPs, the speaker. Those are things that you don't get to do normally. But then also one of my highest moments at Parliament was when we hosted CHOGM. And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs asked the Hansard team to help produce the proceedings of CHOGM. And
it was awesome.
It was. And I remember being chosen by my editor to be among the only three people who covered the closing session at Munyonyo.
When you say that part where you say you were chosen among the three, why do you think you were chosen among all the other editors?
I think, and without really blowing my own trumpet, but I think one of the things is I'm good at what I do, naturally. Yeah. I was also quick, fast, and that's what you needed. I'm also keen. Okay. I developed the skill to listen for different accents, because when you work in Parliament, you get to experience that. Yeah. So, and Chogam is one of those events that has people from diverse backgrounds. So you need to find your way. So I was chosen because the editor was confident that I would deliver. Yes.
Okay. So Sarah, it's really amazing that you got the chance to work at Parliament, a chance that so many people want. But anyway, for now, let's go in for a short commercial break. But please do stay with us, because when we return, we'll continue to understand Sarah's life, also the challenges she believes women are currently facing, and her as a lecturer, her as a mother, her as a wife. What solutions or what aspects of life does she think that you and I can incorporate in our lives for us to be able to achieve our dreams, one, and most importantly, to succeed at everything we are doing. So please do stay with her moment.